How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome back to another video. So this is going to be part 3 of my little how to make a gold making machine, gold making factory, whatever you want to call it, mini series here on YouTube. For those that have been following the progress of my adventures on Draenor on stream, I've frequently been referring to this as Project Draenor. This is basically my little side hustle that I've been putting together recently as a way to start a new realm, starting from scratch, starting with nothing, and how to get to a point where you see consistent gold for preferably as little effort as possible. So what I'm going to do in this video today is basically wrap it up. We are at a point now where the foundation is set. The factory is ready to rock and roll, and it's working. It's working. We have leveled 2 characters to 60. We have our bank character fully set up, selling all our crafted wares. We have 4 Shadowlands professions up and running. We have blacksmithing, jewel crafting, leatherworking, and tailoring. They are all ready to rock and roll. We've gone as far as to ensure that we have all of the optional reagents. So this includes the Crafter's Mark III and the Crafter's Mark of the Chained Isle. These are the 2 new big ones currently, at least at time of recording this video. If you're watching this in the future, there may be more lucrative stuff available to you. But for the most part, we have access to all of the optional reagents on those 4 professions, meaning we can churn out a whole bunch of crafted gear on a regular basis, which whilst the profits in it may not be super lucrative as it once was, they are still a good little money earner. I still see some wild success even on crafting things like Crafter's Mark IIs, which most people have long forgotten. Sure, the item level is only at 168, but they're much cheaper to craft, meaning you can sell them for that little bit less, and you're attracting a different type of buyer. In part 2 of this video that came out a little while ago now, I went through and showcased a full sort of restock session, what it looks like recrafting all of that stuff, how we posted on the auction house. And what I basically wanted to do now is just show you the foundation in action, the factory when it's working, and talk about what the next steps could be. You kind of have choice available to you at this point. You can either go in one of 2 directions. If you're looking to really amplify your gold making potential, legendaries becomes the direction you should go in without question. Now, there is only arguably 1 major content patch left of Shadowlands, meaning that the legendary market, you're going to want to get into it and start making a profit with it quite quickly, as the likelihood being in once we hit the new expansion 10.0, the legendary system will be replaced by something else. Your other alternative is to go backwards. There is huge amounts of different expansions worth of professions to go out there and gather. You can learn them all up from all of the different expansions, and arguably this is one of those things that once you have it, you have it. Jewel crafting is probably not the best example of this. Blacksmithing, tailoring, and leatherworking are more lucrative because they are the kings of transmog. Crafting all of that old gear, whilst yeah, sure, crafting Mists of Pandaria PvP gear under normal circumstances doesn't sound like a great idea, but look what happened with the Mage Tower. Occasionally something will come along that if you have those patterns available to you, you can very quickly jump onto it. If you had the Mists of Pandaria crafting patterns for any of these professions, you had a massive head start when the Mage Tower came out, and everybody was scrabbling around doing their daily cooldowns to try and catch up. The point of making this foundation with your professions is that you've already got it done. It's there, it's ready for when you need it. If something becomes profitable due to some random event in the game, then you've got the patterns to craft straight away. But that's not the direction we're going to go in. The reason I set up this little mini project was to get myself established on one of the bigger servers in the EU. We are playing on Draenor. Draenor is a massive server. Just very quickly take a look at the auction house quantities and prices for our materials. There's huge amounts of stuff going on this realm. It's I believe it's one of the top 2 servers in the EU by population, and for that reason, there's lots of people out there looking to buy our stuff. We're going to go in the direction of legendaries, but before I talk about how to get going with legendaries, I just wanted to give you guys an overview of how things have been progressing. We've been crafting and selling some of this catch-up gear, this Shadowlands crafted gear, for a little while now. So if we open TSM, let's take it back on the 3-month graph so you can see how we started. In episode 1 and 2, well, in episode 1 of this mini-series, we got up and running with creating the characters, getting their professions, then doing a little bit of farming to get some starting gold. You always start with 0 gold. You got to get going somewhere. So you got to trade some time for some materials. We did that for a little while. We traded our time. We went out and did some farming. We gathered up a few bits and pieces, and we started chipping away, leveling our professions. It was about this point when we got access for the first time to the Crafter's Mark III gear over in Korthia. And we started to craft some of that and start reselling that. And as time goes on, I've actually just been reinvesting recently into legendaries, which is why the gold total is very spiky, very up and down. But just to give you guys an overview, turnover is king as far as I'm concerned. Profit comes with selling more. If you don't sell something, you make 0 profit. So what you want to be doing is focusing on just selling as many different things. If we look at my auction house as it stands right now, we have, ignore the total value, over 300 items currently listed. I have a sneaky suspicion that a whole bunch of stuff has just expired. We have another 130 things that have expired recently that I need to get relisted, giving a grand total of nearly 500 items that we are both crafting and trying to sell now. What that results in, though, that results in a nice daily mailbox average of 100k gold or something along those lines. For the first month, for the last 3 months of starting this, we've sold over 3 million gold worth of stuff with, you know, nearly no farming involved. This is just taking the gold that we make from crafting things, selling them, recrafting them, and selling them again. We, of course, because we have been reinvesting into other markets, we've also spent a huge amount. Your gold increases when you stop reinvesting, and this is the options that we have available to us now. We could not go into legendaries, and we could not look at not leveling up any past expansion stuff, and we could just rinse and repeat. We could continue to do exactly what we've been doing, restock our wares on a daily, once a week, whatever time frame that you wish. We covered all of that in part 2. You could just do that consistently from now on and reap the rewards from doing it, and your gold will steadily increase. It will grow over time. You make gold when you stop investing, and this is why going into the legendaries is it can be a little bit dangerous. It can be a little bit daunting because it never feels like you're getting anywhere, but what you're actually doing is you're getting more experience and leveling up more different slots, and then when the day comes that you've maxed out something, that's when the profit starts to come from it, because everything that you sell, you make a small amount of profit on top of whatever it costs you to craft, and that's your reward. That's what you're going for. That's your achievement for leveling up in the first place. Most of our turnover, though, has been very much in the last month. If we change it to just the last 30 days, you can actually see of that 3 million gold, 2.2 of it has come in the last 30 days. This goes to show, once you've unlocked all the different crafts, this is all the item level 200 stuff for the different professions, all the item level 230 stuff for all the professions. Simply by numbers alone, you're crafting and selling enough stuff for your turnover to be high. Now, my TSM profile, the one which my patrons have access to, comes with a bunch of operations which are set to basically make sure that you never make less than 10% profit, giving you a good peace of mind that anything you sell, you're going to be making a small amount of profit on it. It may not be huge, but, you know, as I've said, turnover is king. Leading to a situation where in the last month, this last 2.2 million gold worth of sales is probably somewhere in the region of 10 to 20% profit, generally speaking, maybe even slightly more on some stuff, but meaning that there's at least 200,000, if not maybe 400,000 gold worth of profit, which is where I've started to invest that into legendaries. If I hadn't invested that into legendaries, it would just be sat in my bags right now, and I'd be feeling much richer about myself. But I have started to reinvest, which is why the actual overall profit doesn't look super lucrative at this point. But let's talk about what I'm going to be doing next then. Now that the factory is ready, we are crafting things, we are selling things on a regular basis. You can see we're selling things just sporadically throughout the day. There we go, there's a good example of why you should still craft low item level stuff, even to this day. Even with heirlooms being a thing, I still craft item level 87 stuff because, surprise, surprise, it still sells. I'm going to progress into legendaries though, and I wanted to talk for just a couple of minutes to round this video off about how I would recommend getting into the legendary market at this point. We are at least halfway, like on a timescale basis, we are at least halfway through Shadowlands. We are about to see patch 9.2 in the not so distant future, and 9.2 is rumoured to be the last major content patch of the expansion. So getting into legendaries at this point could be kind of risky. I can't deny it could be kind of risky, but if you do it effectively, you should be able to see some good solid results with, you know, not too long a time frame at all. So I've decided to go jewel crafting, mainly because jewel crafting deals with only 2 slots. You have the Shadowgast ring and the Shadowgast necklace. With only 2 items to worry about, it's much easier to manage. Plus, I like jewel crafting because there's the numbers are a little bit more fuzzy. In terms of prospecting, when you're buying ore and you're prospecting ore, the crafting costs are a little bit more difficult to calculate correctly. At least most people struggle to calculate the profits correctly, and this is where it can actually be a little bit more profitable. People are not so keen to drive the prices down on jewel crafting just as much for fear of losing gold because they don't like maths. So we're only dealing with 2 items, which makes the whole process that little bit more simplistic. We both also have the advantage. We both know that the ring and the necklace are somewhat in the meta at the moment, which means any of these that we craft, we shouldn't have too much of an issue selling them. Now, for the first couple of ranks, you are not concerned about profit. You are not going to craft rank 1s and make gold. This is why you need the factory. The gold making factory, the foundation needs to be set. You need to be making that steady flow of gold through doing the basic crafting stuff, because for the first few ranks you are probably going to lose gold on every single item that you craft, but the end reward is getting to the top tier stuff. What is currently rank 5 and rank 6, once we hit patch 9.2 will presumably be a rank 7 of sorts. And getting access to those crafts alone is where the money's at, and this is where we're going to try and strive to get to. But there's a couple of resources that is going to dramatically help your adventures into the legendary market. We've spoke in depth in this little series about Trade Skill Master. Trade Skill Master has its pros, but it definitely has its cons. One thing I will say is Trade Skill Master is not great for legendaries. Generally speaking, it's not great. It's not particularly smart. It doesn't know things like the crafting costs unless you know how to craft that item naturally. There's a few big downsides to Trade Skill Master, which is why I wanted to take a minute to recommend another add-on that, at least if you get a chance to watch the live stream, you'll have seen quite frequently. One by the name of Legendary Stock Tracker. This is a cool little add-on. I have showcased this on the channel here before, but it's much better for when you're getting up and running with legendaries. There are a few things you do need to do. You need to craft 1 of each of the rank 1s to begin with for it to fully populate the table. But now what it will do is it will show you the potential profits or in many cases the losses that you are going to take by crafting each of the different items at each of the different ranks. Additionally to that, legendary stock tracker is pretty smart. Without this turning into like an add-on setup video, I just want to very quickly highlight the fact that you can do some pretty funky stuff with this. You can, if you wish, determine a minimum amount of profit that you want an item to make you before it suggests for you to restock it. You can choose to craft only specific ranks of legendaries if you wish. There's a few simple settings in this that makes the whole process of leveling your legendaries a lot more straightforward. And when you go to do a restock, it knows by its name, Legendary Stock Tracker. It knows what you have in stock, and it can make suggestions to you, and it can also suggest to you the optimal way of crafting that item. This is much better than Trade School Master. From a crafting perspective, I highly suggest you get Legendary Stock Track and you take a little bit of a look at this. The second resource that I'm going to recommend you use when getting into the legendary game is one of my own. A little bit of a shameless plug here at this point. Many of you guys may have seen this before. It's the Shadowlands cheat sheet. This is free for everybody to use. The most recent up-to-date version of it is pinned in my Discord. There'll be a link to the Discord down below so you can get access to this. But in simple terms, what this does is gives you a breakdown of what it is, some numbers, some maths. Nobody likes to do maths, and so we use spreadsheets to do the maths for us. This spreadsheet is designed in a way so that you can plug in whatever your costs are for your materials. Let's just make some nice round numbers for your essences. If you get your arboreal shards nice and cheap, you can put them here. You can put in your price of your Korthite crystals. The price of Korthite crystals will become important if you've unlocked the Vestige of Origins. And this will basically show you what the damage is going to be, right? It's going to show you that, right, well, you're going to need potentially 15 rank 1s to get enough experience to unlock rank 2. Well, what's that going to cost me? Well, at these prices, you're looking at a cost of 90,000 gold to craft those 15 rank 1s. The downside is you can spend 90,000 gold and you know for a fact you're definitely not ever going to see a full 90,000 gold back, which is a bit of a shame. But it's just, you know, this is the barrier to entry. The legendaries there's a big gold barrier to entry. There's no reputations you really need to grind so much with this. There's no real gameplay attached to it. It's more about just having more gold. The more gold you can throw at legendaries, the quicker it can become profitable for you. But to highlight, one of the reasons why I'm looking to start with Drawn crafting more than anything is it's going to cost me less than 1 million gold to not just get going with Drawn crafting, but to max it out. And that's my goal. I want to get Drawn crafting maxed out before the next major content patch comes, so that I'm in a position to, you know, get going with whatever's new in the new patch. One thing that I want to focus on, though, is that the reason we're putting Korthite crystals in at this point, and you may think, well, Korthite crystals are a rank 5, 6 thing. I don't need to worry about those too much just yet. Yes, you do need a Vestige of Origins. You do need your Korthite crystals to make a rank 5 or 6, but that optional reagent can be used on lower level ranks as well. And if you can get your Korthite crystals at the right price, it's often best to do it that way. If, for example, now this is a little bit more difficult to come by, but if you can get your Korthite crystals for, say, 300 gold now, if you're on a realm where there's not, where there's lots of people farming up the Korthite crystals still, and you can get them at a better price, you start to see different options become available to you. My spreadsheet will actually tell you that, well, actually now, instead of crafting a rank 2 normally, craft a rank 2 with a Vestige to make yourself a cheap rank 4. There are certain breakpoints to crafting your legendaries where instead of crafting this rank 2, and as we know, rank 2 is going to be a less popular seller. If you check your auction house, you're likely to find that rank 2s are way less than cost. What we can actually do is we can make a rank 4 base legendary item for less than what it costs of normally crafting it. Now we can't craft this yet. But we have unlocked rank 2 and we can throw a Vestige on it, and that will give us a rank 4 base item to sell, of which a rank 4 has a much better chance of selling, not only quickly, but then at a profit as well. These are some of the things that you need to be aware of when getting into the legendary market, of which the game doesn't do a fantastic job of sort of promoting how they work. But between the Shadowlands cheat sheet, like I said, once again, link in description down to the Discord. The latest version of this is always pinned in the Discord, so if I make any changes or updates, or there's a wrong formula in it somewhere, I update it. Keep your eyes on the Discord for the most up-to-date version of this. You can use this, and this is then ready for cloth Legos, leather, mail, plate, jewel crafting, all of the above. And then, like I said, Legendary Stock Tracker is a good way to summarize and visualize what you have in stock already, and more importantly to most, the profits and or losses on any of the lower level legendaries. But that's basically where I'm going to leave it for today, boys and girls. That should give you a very brief overview of how you can potentially get into the legendary market once you've got your gold factory started. This will probably be I might do one more video in this series in the future once we've got a little bit more progress done with the legendaries. But for now, that's basically where I will leave it for this mini series. If you get your crafting professions up to a point where you've got most of the patterns, you can continually recraft these things and resell them as many times as you can, even if you're only making a small profit each and every time. The results come with consistency. If you get into the habit of relisting your auctions once a day, once every couple of days, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to sit at the auction house, you don't have to camp at the auction house. I, for reference, do not do cancel scans on this little mini project at all. Not a single cancel scan. I don't do them. I post things, and then I loot my mailbox, and I post them again. And luckily, being a high population, busy server, I've seen, as we've already discussed, a reasonable amount of sales, which, even if you don't progress into legendaries, this process alone is enough to quite easily make you a token's worth of gold a month, and it takes me no more than 20 minutes a day. And it's far more simplistic and less brain numbing than running out there doing the basic stuff like gathering or your callings, or the stuff we've done plenty of that we don't particularly enjoy doing anymore. But there we go. I'll leave it there. I'll stop rambling now. If you enjoyed the video, remember to give the video a like. Hit that sub button if you're new around here and are interested in World of Warcraft and gold making. And I've been Manthieus, and I'll see you all guys next time in a bit. Bye.